It is lights out and we are racing in MotoGP here in Spain. This time around, Marc Marquez has nailed the start from pole position. Just listen to the roar of the crowd as Jorge Martin moves up on the inside of Marco Bezzecchi into second place. Pecco Bagnaya's got away well too. He's on around the outside of Bezzecchi into fourth from seventh spot. But it's Marc Marquez in front of his passionate home crowd that leads his home Grand Prix.
Yeah, just the start Pecco Bagnaia wanted. He just stayed on the left-hand side, just stayed well out of trouble into turn one and then picked a couple off on the way through the corner. So he's up into fourth. Pedro Acosta coming through the first sector down in 17th place. It's been a nightmare start for the rookie.
Not a great start either for Binder, who got the whole shot yesterday. He started fourth. He's already been pushed back down to sixth place on the pressure early on from the Gian Antonio, coming from a long, long way back.
Wow.
How far back goes Pecco Bagnaia? How did he get that stopped? What a first lap that's been from the world champion. He's got the inside line though through on Marc Marquez. Pecco Bagnaia started this Spanish Grand Prix in Jerez down in seventh place. He leads at the end of an incredible first lap.
A legendary first lap, but Marc Marquez is fighting straight back into turn number one, and Jorge Martin's going to take advantage.
They go three abreast, Marquez, Martin and Bagnaia. How did they avoid contact? Three of them almost lost the front there. Sideways goes Bagnaia, he's made a mistake, he's got him way, way too hot, and Martin and Marquez power on through, and now Bagnaia side by side with Marquez. Like Marquez might have missed the drive coming out of that final turn. Martin then does hit the front, Bagnaia now in second. Oh, Zarco. And there was contact there, wasn't there, between Zarco and Acosta.
Yeah, but the fact that he was already back with Zarco on the first, that tells you that he'd already messed up the start before he even got to turn 5.
Johan Zarco going full dodgems there, wasn't he, on Pedro Acosta. That's a fast corner as well, sweeping through turn 5. Dani Pedrosa, well, there's going to be no double podium after he inherited the sprint rostrum yesterday. Here comes Bezzecchi on the inside of Marquez. Those two have got recent history as well.
Bagnaia wants to reverse this momentum that Martin has got, but he can't outbrake the race leader.
That's incredible onboard action. Martin's knee and elbow scrubbing the tarmac through turn 6, the Pedrosa corner. A weekend to forget for Aleix Espargaro, who hit a wet patch on lap 1 in the sprint yesterday, and an almighty high side into turn 8.
Oh, it's contact with Johan Zarco, and Zarco looked like he went down too. To me, he did indeed. Yeah. So Aleix Espargaro, I think, perhaps a little bit ambitious, and perhaps his patience finally ran out.
Two of the most experienced riders in, well, full-time on the MotoGP grid. The wise old heads have bitten the dust here, haven't they? Dani Pedrosa, 38, Johan Zarco, 33, Aleix Espargaro, 34, all in the gravel trap, unfortunately. Marco Bezzecchi still there in third place, and what looks at the moment like a pretty comfortable third to his credit.
Yeah, a couple of laps ago, Marc Marquez was all there. Martin down to the end of the straight!
Martin's gone down! Jorge Martin! We thought this year it was a new look, a more experienced, a more mature Jorge Martin. The mistakes that he made last year, which ultimately cost him the chance to win the MotoGP World Championship. And Jorge Martin crashes out at turn 6. The front folds on the Prima Pramac Ducati. You don't save those. He crashes out of the lead here in Jerez. He crashed out of a 3-second lead, didn't he, in Mandalika last year, which was a massive blow to his title hope. Still a long, long way to go in this MotoGP World Championship. Will stay on board with the 93. On the inside he goes. Bezzecchi tried so hard to tough it out on the brakes. Both of their Ducatis, both their GP23s were snaking left. They were snaking right. They were nosedived on the front end, but it's Marquez that comes out the better of that fight, and immediately he's been able to gap Bezzecchi and start now the assault, the attack towards Bagnaia.
Acosta on the inside then of Jack Miller on the brakes into the Dani Pedrosa hairpin, and Acosta is into the top 10. The bad news for him is that he's got 4 seconds up ahead of him to Vinales, but he is limiting the damage.
Bezzecchi at the moment's in a pretty lonely and safe third place. He's got an advantage back to that's
Morbidelli and Miller.
Morbidelli and Miller having a...
And I think Jack's pretty angry with Frankie by the looks of that.
What's fair to say, that's a very frank exchange of opinion, isn't it? Through turn 5 we go, and a little bit further around than we saw the elated Spargaros Johan Zarco incident, but the stewards are going to be busy post-race looking at that one. Bastianini toughing it out with Binder in the braking zone for the first corner. These two went down on that wet patch at turn 5 in the Tissot sprint yesterday. This is a fight for 5th. Marc Marquez sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, 1:37.708. He is starting to really hunt down Pecco Bagnaia now. The gap under half a second, 0.485 of a second as they sweep through turn 4. Marquez is not going to be close enough to attack on the brakes into turn 6. He's just going to be patient here, got to pick his moment as they power out of the Pedrosa corner. They'll flick it left now through 7 and 8 where Marquez has been really super strong.
Turn 9 is best shot,
we go. Is he going to be close enough to have a launch on the inside of Bagnaia? This is the moment. Here he comes into the Aspar corner. Marc Marquez leads the Spanish Grand Prix. Bagnaia, though, instantly tries to fight back. They touch, they rub going through turn 10. This is Portimao almost all over again on the exit as well. They touch on the entry to turn 10. They rub on the exit of turn 10 as well. Hold on to your hats on the edge of your seat. Have you got any nails left at home? Because Pecco Bagnaia is going shoulder to shoulder. He is going toe to toe here with Marc Marquez. They come out of the final corner. The crowd are on their feet. The noise is deafening here in Jerez. But it's Bagnaia that leads. 4 to go. The crowd are going absolutely ballistic in the background here. No question where their loyalty lies, no question where their allegiances is, as Marc Marquez now is going to try it again, isn't he, into turn 9. Bagnaia will hear the GP23 coming behind him. Will he go defensive here, tight into 9? Here comes Marquez though, and once again he fires on the inside of Bagnaia. He's going to run in wide again though, and Bagnaia on the cutback seizes the lead once again. Successive laps then here in Jerez, lap 21 and now lap 22, where Bagnaia and Marquez have toughed it out in turn 9.
This was where they made contact. Look how much Bagnaia wanted this. Marquez was wanting to turn in. Bagnaia just would not allow him.
There's some Portimao payback here, isn't there? These are two of not just the best in modern day MotoGP, two of the very best. Davide Tardozzi, he can't watch. He's got a few more grey hairs in his head right now, as he Davide Tardozzi. Gigi Dall'Igna looking somewhat tense and pensive. What a lap! What a lap! Pecco Bagnaia on 23 lap old Michelin tyres somehow has found a 1:37.449 over 4/10 clear of Marc Marquez. I think it's all coming too little too late. Pecco Bagnaia, yet Marquez will not be close enough to attack Pecco Bagnaia in the final corner. What a race! What a ride! What a world champion! Pecco Bagnaia reigns in Spain. He does complete the Jerez hat-trick in one of the most memorable Spanish Grand Prix we've witnessed for many, many a year. Unbelievable. A record MotoGP crowd have just been treated to some spectacle. MotoGP at its very, very best. Pecco Bagnaia takes the checkered flag by just in the 4/10 of a second clear of Marc Marquez. Marquez did go all in, as we knew he would do. He set his best up of the race on the last lap, a 1:37.637. Marco Bezzecchi takes 3rd place.
And we witnessed true sporting excellence from Pecco Bagnaia and from Marc Marquez. There was so little to choose between them in the end. But for all the victories that Pecco Bagnaia has taken, that's his 30th in all classes, his 20th in MotoGP, surely none of them will taste as sweet as this one. As FIM President George Villegas hands him the trophy. A clash of the titans at Jerez as Bagnaia shows why he's the world #1.
If you can't get enough MotoGP, click here to subscribe.
It is lights out, and we're racing in MotoGP here in Indonesia. Not the launch away from the head of that second row, the Pecco Bagnaia wants. It is Ducati stutters away from that fourth place. It's Jorge Martin, though, that leads. Great start by Enea Bastianini. He's already up into second place, head of Pedro Acosta. Bagnaia, though, has recovered up into fourth.
Yeah, his start wasn't as bad as Marco Bezzecchi, who's behind him in fifth. I thought I saw Bagnaia slightly rocking in his box as we've got a 3-4 rider crash at the back. We've got a KTM down, Alex Marquez, and Aleix Espargaro down there too.
It does tighten up, and Constantino up through that turn 2, turn 3 section. That's a fourth crash of the weekend for poor old Alex Marquez. What a miserable weekend it's been for him in Mandalika. Back at the front then, it's Martin who once again has made the dream launch. Aleix Espargaro, it's a fourth crash of the weekend for Aleix in his 250th Grand Prix start. Acosta thought about flinging the KTM machine up on the inside of Bastianini into turn 10. Jack Miller and Luca Marini also involved in that big melee on lap 1.
Marquez update, he's into 7th place, so it is progress on the first lap from 12th on the grid, but not quite to the extent that we saw from him yesterday. He's behind the second of the Pramac Ducatis of Frankie Morbidelli. You
feel in terms of his prospects of winning this Grand Prix, it's imperative, vital that Bastianini keeps Acosta at bay here. This is the remains, the aftermath of that chaotic first sector on lap 1. Looks like all the rides are moving away. Coming from a long, long way back there, wasn't it?
There's two going past Bagnaia. That was Bezzecchi and Morbidelli, both passing Bagnaia.
This is going to be a replay then of what's been an incident on lap 1 that's caught in or involved 4 riders. There's always Miller. Jack Miller on the inside. Looked like he just locked the front there on that chain direction. And then wrong place, wrong time. Marquez and Gian Antonio slug it out with each other going through turn 11. That all started on the entry to turn 10, but the beast on Friday said even when we've got track temperature over 60 degrees with the medium rear tyre, you have to wait 2 or 3 laps for it to properly come in. You just wonder where that is a factor in the early part of this Grand Prix right now.
Well, Jorge Martin said earlier in the year what he was missing relative to Bagnaia as Acosta now does go through on Bastianini into second place. Martin felt he was missing that confidence in the early stage of the race relative to Bagnaia. Martin certainly is the one with confidence at this stage. His lead is now over a second. Jorge Martin from last year will not be resting on his laurels at any stage here, even with a lead of 1.5 seconds on lap 5 of 27. Here comes Morbidelli then, and Bastianini is not going to be able to tip that Ducati in from there, and he rather easily loses third place.
Well, Acosta gapped him straight away. Once Pedro Acosta got through, just started taking big chunks of time out of Bastianini, and now Frankie Morbidelli eases on through. Bezzecchi's going to make a move soon on Bastianini. He's closing up through the fast left-handers of turn 12 and turn 13. Gian Antonio, how much longer can he sustain this pace? Oh, that's close. Bezzecchi knows he's faster. He'll be able to see that Bastianini's suffering with that medium rear tyre at the moment. Just going to be curious to see how long Gian Antonio can run his kind of pace with the soft front and soft rear tyre. He's now at the back of that train, still in 8th place. He's got a big gap of over 2 seconds back to Brad Binder. Pedro Acosta, what a lap that is from Acosta. Fastest of the Grand Prix so far at 1:31.015.
Oh, it looked like just ahead of us there was a move coming. There's a move certainly coming from Marc Marquez on Pecco Bagnaia. Gian Antonio might well get himself involved. These are the 3 riders next year that are going to be on 2025 spec Ducatis. And Gian Antonio fancies a rematch with Marc Marquez. He moves through into 7th place.
That was a lovely move by Gian Antonio. There was not a lot of room there, but he made it work on the inside of Marquez. Not many riders that have gone through, and Marquez going through turn 2. Gian Antonio, though, just a quick reminder, is the only rider that's got the soft front, soft rear combination, so he will have very good grip levels at this phase of the Grand Prix. He'll be full of confidence. It's just how much he can run this pace. As Bezzecchi finally does find a way through on the fast fading Enea Bastianini, this is just not going to plan A, is it, at all for the beast.
Gian Antonio once again up the inside of Pecco Bagnaia, so in the space of 3 corners, both factory Ducatis passed by the VR46 machines.
Yeah, he got it wrong though, charging in hot on Bagnaia going through 13, lost him all his momentum as they attacked through 14, and that has allowed Bagnaia and Marquez to sweep through on the attempt. He's got to do all the hard work all over again. Marc Marquez and Fabio Di Gianantonio are going to be swapping paintwork around this Mandalika circuit. The Gianantonio surely can't keep himself in the hunt here as he lunges on the inside of Marquez going through turn 12. Marquez says, no, you're not having that. So that's 3 successive corners now that these two have swapped overtakes. It looks fantastic. It's a great show, but it's not doing them any good to try and get themselves back in this battle for the top 6.
I don't suppose it's the recommended use of a soft front, soft rear tyre either, as the Gianantonio again just barges Marc Marquez out of the way. It's great fun for us to watch, but they are losing touch with the top 6 ahead of them, and Marc Marquez will have steam coming out of his ears as he watches the top 6 disappear. He's still marooned in 8th place.
Here is your race leader, Martin. Nothing between Martin and Acosta's lap times. They both exchange 1:31.0s as we go halfway around this lap 9 of 27. Still 18.5 laps remaining.
Yeah, Morbidelli's there. Oh, that's a crash in the background for Di Gianantonio. We're never going to find out how far that soft front, soft rear tyre would have made it into this race. Di Gianantonio's down, a 3rd race in. Oh, Marc
Marquez has got a problem. He's not fallen. This is a technical issue.
Oh, it's on fire. Get off it, Marc.
Got to jump off that one. He won't realise this. He's going to get a very, very hot right boot right now. And he'll be jumping off that GP23 very, very quickly. So Marc Marquez, as smoke billows out of the belly pan, he's trying to get the marshals to get the fire extinguisher out. Frankie Carcetti slumps into his marker. He's just thrown it on the floor.
Yeah, you heard it go there as he went up to 4th gear. You can hear not a lot from the onboard audio of Marc Marquez because the bike is no longer running. Pedro Acosta is doing at the moment in this race. He's running in 2nd place. Everyone else in the top 6 are on board Ducatis, including Milano Bastianini, who are riding on board with, who's now moving up into 4th place at the expense of Marco Bezzecchi. The next non-Ducati is Brad Binder in 7th.
Morbidelli, Bastianini and Bezzecchi behind them. Dip back into the 131s. Bagnaia has done a 130.8 himself as Bastianini tries to pick up the better drive grip. He's going to lunge on the inside of Morbidelli into turn 2. If he's got any hopes of winning this Grand Prix, he had to make that move as Morbidelli tries to tough it out. And it's a successful battle, this. Look at Morbidelli. They lean on each other, the 2 Italians, through turn 3. Bastianini on the inside. Morbidelli is not giving this one up at all. Look at that from Morbidelli. Bastianini has got the inside line. Finally then through 12, the beast goes.
Martin's had a scruffy lap by the looks of it, or Pedro Acosta's up to it. One of the two. We'll find out over the line. The gap has almost halved. It's down to 0.6 of a second. In fact, under that now. It was a second or so when the lap began. So is Pedro Acosta beginning to sniff that potential first MotoGP win? Martin will now be able to really feel and hear the gas KTM closing up behind him. 10 laps remaining. Martin's pace dropped off to a 31.5 last time around.
This has been an unbelievable ride, hasn't it, by Acosta, an unbelievable ride by Jorge Martin, showing that the mental strength, the mental character that you need to win a MotoGP World Championship after the crushing disappointment of his sprint exit on the first lap yesterday. This has been some answer, hasn't it, from Martin. Over the line he goes. He's still leading by just under a 1/10 of a second. Bastianini, 1:30.658 is his best lap of the Grand Prix. Now, that was 0.6 of a second faster than Pedro Acosta ahead of him. Now, he's got 9 laps remaining here, so it's going to be all eyes on number 23, isn't it, as he tries to claw himself, the beast, clawing himself back into contention potentially here. Now Bez finally, well, he thought about it at turn 10. He's going to run in hot though now at 12, and Morbidelli will just ease back onto the normal racing line as Bagnaia shows Bezzecchi his front tyre going through 13.
Acosta's starting to lose a little bit of touch with Martin. That gap's going back out to over a second again. His teammate, Augusto Fernandez, has stopped as Enea Bastianini sets a 30.539. Martin and Acosta did respond. They were back into the...
He's now down! It's too much. The pace too hot for Bastianini to handle. down he goes. Well, what, seconds after he set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, a 1:30.539, just when we were thinking, and crucially just when he was thinking, I can win this Mandalika Grand Prix. He eats a load of dust at the first corner, and surely now we are down to a two-horse race in the MotoGP World Championship. So now, this fight between Morbidelli, Bezzecchi and Bagnaia is for third place, and these are huge World Championship points, aren't they, for the number one.
Yeah, he really needs to go past his very good friends from the VR46 Academy here. He's not going to get any help from them, of course, in this Grand Prix, but Bagnaia will take 16 points if he can get up into third place. He's currently on target for 11 for fifth place. Of course, he gains a point, not that he would have wanted to gain it in that fashion, from Enea Bastianini's crash out of third place. Further back, we've got Fabio Quartararo also going very, very quickly. He's in the 130s at the moment, ruining what happened to him in the early stages. He's closing in on Maverick Vinales, but this is the key battle on track now with just over 5.5 laps to go, and Bagnaia is gifted fourth place by Marco Bezzecchi.
Bagnaia sweeps on through on the run to turn 10. Morbidelli and Bezzecchi have put up such a resolute fight, haven't they? They've done it awesome to keep themselves in the podium battle with the soft front tyre. It's been a gamble that has paid off for them. Head in hands, Enea Bastianini just pushing too much. Look at those lap times. Absolutely brilliant pace, brilliant consistency, and this is an emphatic response to his sprint spill yesterday, isn't it? As Jorge Martin looks to reassert his authority on this year's MotoGP World Championship. Bagnaia, third place. There's a front fender on there.
I think it was off a Yamaha.
Yeah,
look out, some monster on it.
Yeah, so somebody's lost a bit of bodywork, and that final corner. 2 laps to go then here in Mandalika, and it is Jorge Martin on course for one of his biggest wins of the season. He'll be 21 points clear of Pecco Bagnaia. He will be taking 9 out of the reigning world champion after yesterday's sprint success for the factory Ducati rider.
Jorge Martin will know all too well that he hasn't won on a Sunday since the French Grand Prix of Le Mans in May. He has, of course, led the World Championship pretty much since then. Of course, Bagnaia did have a brief spell in front of him after his crash at the Saxon Ring, but generally speaking, Martin has had the edge in this title battle for the last few months, but hasn't done as much winning as he would like. And of course, given what happened to him here last year, he will not be resting on anything, even at this late stage.
Last lap then underway here in Mandalika. Jorge Martin 2 seconds clear of Acosta in second place. Big gap then back to Bagnaia, who looks like he will rescue third after a difficult first third of this Grand Prix in Indonesia. Frankie Morbidelli, a brilliant fourth place. Bezzecchi fifth. Vinales will be sixth. Quartararo ahead of his fellow Frenchman Johan Zarco, who's on course for his first top 10 for LCR Honda. He crashed out in Mandalika in 2022. He crashed out in Mandalika in 2023. He crashed out of the Mandalika sprint here yesterday. But for the very first time in Indonesia, it is Jorge Martin with a masterclass. He is the master of Mandalika, and he seizes back control of this year's MotoGP World Championship. Vamos is the message on the 89's pit board. Come on, Prima Pramac Racing say, as he takes a monumental victory in this year's MotoGP battle. Wow, now this could be very, very significant. The tyre pressure for Pedro Acosta is under investigation.